People found guilty of minor criminal offences could have them removed from their records under new plans proposed by Home Secretary Sajid Javid. The idea is to make it easier for them to get jobs. Currently, anyone with more than one conviction, no matter how minor, will automatically have them disclosed to employers for the rest of their lives. So, do you think that criminals guilty of minor offences should have the slate wiped clean?
I personally, and I could be naive in saying this, but think that, you know, people make mistakes and nobody's perfect. I mean, no matter what you say, we've all done things and things that we regret, and had we been in a situation where it escalated, could have been we could end up with a criminal record. Well, I would hope not, but you could. And I think it depends on what crime that we're talking about. That has a massive part to do with it, and how many times you've offended. I think if you've offended twice in your entire lifetime as a teenager, or if you were going through a struggle, there are certain ways, such circumstances you could look at and say, actually, do we really need to hold this person back? Yeah. Would it be better to give them the opportunity, the same opportunities as anyone else, if they're willing to change and turn their life around? I don't think we need to keep dragging somebody down and taking opportunities away from them, because I actually think then that will probably drive them back into the criminal.
They did. Well, to put it into some sort of perspective, what Mr. Javid said was, if a young person today has committed 2 offences, no matter what they are, for example, if they've shoplifted twice when they're 11 or 12, that record can linger for years and years when they're an adult. So, you know, does taking a sweetie from a sweetie shop when you're 11 meaning that you can't get a job when you're 25?
I don't think we're talking about that, though. I mean, and there are all levels of offences. I want to say up front that I am all for rehabilitation in a lot of circumstances, and also a second chance. But if I'm being really, really honest, if I discovered that somebody that I might employ, say, building in my house or painting my house where I'm not around, or my grandchildren are in the house, personally, I wouldn't want anybody who had a lot of drug offences or a lot of thieving. I just wouldn't feel comfortable. And I'm not an employer. Sorry?
How would you know? So if you were going to employ someone to do the building work, I wouldn't know how to cross-check someone's criminal record anyway.
Well, I think this is all just in the making, by the way. It's not laws yet. So we don't know yet how we are going to be able to check. But I'm just being honest and saying, if I was choosing between a building company that had been personally recommended to me and one that I found out there were a lot of dodgy goings on beforehand, I wouldn't want it. I mean, that's the truth. But I am all for second chances. But a minor crime like stealing a lipstick from a pound shop, or stealing a book, as they state in the case, 99p. I mean, that is so minor. And as you say, we've all made
Gloria,
silly
I've got
mistakes.
a criminal record.
What did you do?
Well, back in the late 1960s, it might have been the early 1970s, the police raided my home and found a small piece of cannabis the size of my entire fingernail, and I appeared in court and was given a £5 fine. Now, I suppose that means that I am not worthy of coming round and cleaning your toilets or perhaps putting your bins out. But, Gloria, I'd like to think my record was wiped clean.
I know,
and here I am on national
how many drugs
television.
were you taking at that time?
We are talking the 1960s, and I'm a very, very different person. It's shining over my head because I am to appear in Neighbours, and we all know that everybody on Neighbours has undergone all sorts of criminal record checks.
Well, I have never taken drugs in my life, which will horrify you because I know you have. But I haven't. But maybe you can.
I'm not boasting about it, and I'm not making a big thing
with me and maybe change your mind.
Yes, but I do think that people should be given a second chance, and I'm very proud to say I profited from that.
There's that company as well. There is a company, Timpson's.
Yes.
And he is now one of the largest employers of ex-offenders in the UK. Approximately 10% of its workforce is made up of people with previous criminal convictions. And what they do is all to do with making locks and keys and stuff. And I mean, that just goes to show that those
I think everybody deserves a second chance. I think that if the crimes that you've committed involve violence or, you know, physical injury to someone else, well, we've got to take a rain check on that. But I do think a disproportionate amount of police time and bureaucratic time is taken up with these criminal record investigations. I think there's 1 million were looked at last year. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's taken up so much time and effort.
But then the case that you've given, Stacey, by the way, is a really good example because you have all the history there and it's a concerted decision that you're making and giving people a second chance. And that's different from what we're talking about in the new law.
And also, you know, we mentioned, you know, a sweetie from a sweetie shop. What the kind of offences that we're talking about, common assault without injury, theft without violence, drug possession, motoring offences. Now, that can mean, I mean, you can have a criminal conviction for not wearing your seatbelt. You know, we're not talking mowing someone down. We asked you, we did a little poll. We asked you, should criminals with minor offences have the slate wiped clean? 66% said no. That's interesting, isn't it? Because I'm sure, you know, deep down we would all wish anyone, you know, the best of luck in a second chance.
As long as they don't come in our home.
Maybe it's not, yeah. Maybe